Okay, so today is the 17th of July 2014. My name is Raffaele Ippolito, and this interview is for Ming London Institute British Chinese Workforce Heritage Project. Okay, so could I begin by asking your name?
Hello, I'm Virginia.
And when were you born?
I was born in Hong Kong.
Could you please tell me a bit about your family?
Well, I got a very big family. For my father have 9 children, and I am the last, the 7th. And yes.
And what work did your mother and father do?
My father is a Chinese doctor, practiced in Hong Kong, and my mother is a full-time housewife. And because it's not easy to run a big family, if she's working, so she is a full-time housewife.
And could you please tell me a bit about your educational background?
Mm-hmm. Well, as you know, I was born in Hong Kong and I was educated in Hong Kong. And then when I graduated from, in secondary school, finished my secondary school, and then I went out to work in a bank there. And then after a few years, and then I migrate to the UK, and I start working and studying as well. So, and then I got my degree in the UK, and then after that, and then I work, and then staying in the UK.
So exactly when did you come to the UK?
I think it's 1975. Yeah, it was quite a few years, a number of years ago now.
And what led you to leave your country, to come to the UK?
I was supposed to get married here. Yeah, because my fiance was here, but my marriage didn't work out, and then I'm divorced now.
What were your first impressions of the UK?
It was really good. I just love it. When I first came over here, it was the environment was good. It was quiet, and the people were so friendly, and I just love it. So that's why I don't want to go back to Hong Kong. Although Hong Kong it's not bad, I always go back there to see my family, but still, for living-wise, I prefer England.
What jobs did you have before working at Wai Yin?
I work in the financial field for a number of organizations. Like banking, industries, manufacturing company, charter accountancy firms, etc. A lot. And then the last one that I was working was with NHS.
And so regarding Wai Yin, what motivated you to work in the community sector?
It was because that I can see a lot of Chinese people, and then they don't speak the language, and so they really struggle, and then they because of the language barrier, they can't go out to meet people. So that's why that I came to join Wai Yin, because I know that they are very, very good trying to organize activities for people, not only elderly, but for the youth and for the family, etc. So, and then I think that this is a really good things to do for our own people.
Okay. How long have you worked in the community sector?
Oh, a lot of years now, because when I was working in the NHS, I actually worked in Wai Yin. And then after several years, I can't remember how many years, I think about 10 years, something like that. And then because of my work and my health, so I thought I better stop one thing because I was doing a lot of things at the same time. So I stopped working in Wai Yin.
Sorry to interrupt you. We had a problem with the audio here because it was not recording. Like it was on and then it stopped. Did it happen before? Yeah.
Just continue.
Yes. Sorry. And
It's all right.
And so, how long have you worked in the community sector?
You mean in the community center,
the
like
community
Wai
center,
Yin? Yes. As I said before, and then I worked for about 10 years or so when I was working as well as doing work for Wai Yin. And then I stopped for a few years. And after I retired, and then I joined Wai Yin again. And so...
What is your main occupation now?
In Wai Yin,
yeah.
as a treasurer.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long has the center been established for? And can you tell us a little bit about the history of the center?
Well, it was established quite a number of years ago now. 20-something, 30 years, Lily. I can't remember exactly how long, but I wasn't joining them at that time. Then, because after they set up for a number of years, and then I joined them. I can't remember the number of years, what time that they start. But when they start, actually, I knew that at that time because a friend actually invited me to join them at that time. But I was so busy because I was at that time studying professional exams for the accountancy. So I didn't have time to join them at that time. But then, and after they set up for a number of years, and then I started joining them. Yeah.
About Wai Yin, about this community center, what service does it provide and why?
Well, it's quite a bit large scope of area that they provide. The elderly, as I said, and the family, including the youth and the women and etc. And also now and then educations. They provide courses for people who can not only speaking English, the English people learning Chinese as well, and also computer, and also other technology and skill as well. And also recently we actually have a center in Cheetham Hill, and we're trying to provide food for people who are deprived and who are struggling with daily living. So we try to provide food for them and then help them to find jobs, and even running computer courses for them so that they can find job easier. And some of them are the people that coming from other countries. They are not necessarily Chinese. Many of them are not. They are local people as well. So, and also we also have functions and activities together with the Somali groups and others, Pakistani group, etc. So it's really a wide scope of area that we are doing at the moment.
And what kind of help do you provide with regards to legal matters, immigration issues, or this kind of benefits in general?
For the benefit, we have a team called the advice team here. Just to advise them how to, say if they apply to benefits, etc. So this group is running really good because a lot of demands in there. But for the legal side, we we don't really provide that in a way because we have no professional people providing legal matters, but we can then ask them to go to a solicitor, refer them to go there to seek professional advice if necessary.
And how is the center funded?
From various sources, but we are trying to find whatever organizations want to run a project, etc., and then we will submit our application if it is our scope or areas. Yeah.
Right. What is the center's relationship like with the council? Are they supportive? And has this changed over the years?
Council, you mean the Manchester City Council?
Yes.
Well, we have good relationship with them, but on the other hand, because of the financial situation in the UK and a lot of changes in the local government and the Manchester City Council, a lot of the people actually they move or find another job or being redeployed. But saying that, we still have good relationship with them. But to be honest, funding issue is not easy these days. Very, very difficult. So we try to find ways to help all these people in the community to find money, to be honest, to help them, to help us to run courses to help them in a way.
What are the significant events that have been in the history of the community center?
Significant
events have there been?
Well, every year we have Chinese New Year celebration, but we also have appreciation. We have appreciation evening every year to appreciate all these volunteers as well as staff, because a lot of the volunteers, they really spend a lot of time working together with us, and then they are very, very helpful. So we only try to show a bit of appreciation to them, their work that they did. Yeah.
What do you feel is the role of the center within the Chinese community in Manchester?
Well, we are trying now to help the people who are in need. Not only for the Chinese now. We focus on the Chinese as well as those minorities, ethnic minorities people, because we find that they are the people also in need as well. And also for funding wise, they prefer to work together with other group of nationalities of people, so we are aiming at that, and we are trying to do thinking of some idea of like social enterprising, yeah. But we're still trying to work out something.
And could you tell us a bit about these ideas? What do these ideas? What kind of issues do they tackle? These new projects, are they addressing some specific issues within the Chinese community in Manchester, or?
You mean the social enterprising?
Yeah.
Well, we have not got anything. It's like at the moment, it's like a brainstorming type of thing, and then try to work out which way is better or best suit Wai Yin. We haven't got anything solid at the moment, so I can't tell you exactly what yet. but that we have this idea because we thought that these days financial situation is so difficult. If you're asking for funding from different organizations, could not be easy. So, we better help ourselves to do something rather than asking people to have some money, to give us some money every time. Yeah.
In your role in Wai Yin and your involvement outside, which we'll move on to later, you must get a sense of the bigger picture of the Chinese community in Manchester, right? What would you say the biggest challenges are for the community at the moment, and how might this be conquered?
The biggest difficulties?
Yes.
I think for the Chinese community, obviously is the language is their barrier. Well, and for recent years we really noticed that is for the older group of people, they mainly speak Cantonese. And for the younger group of people, they mainly speak Mandarin because there are so many newcomers from China. So they need our help in a way, and they cannot speak the language. It is obvious it's because I'm doing part-time at the moment in the hospital as an interpreter. So I'm trying to help the Chinese people to, when they see the doctors, etc., and they know exactly what they are getting. But for this reason, and then I can see what's these obviously the two groups of people, one the younger group from mainland China, and the older group from Hong Kong or or who lives here for a long time. But I think for the Mandarin speaking people is getting more and more now. And I don't want to say that, but for the older group of people, because they are getting older and older, and they just disappearing, right? But for these younger people from China, I think the needs now in the community are mainly Mandarin speaking people, and they could be happy. Their requirements or their needs could be a lot. It's because they're young. They need for the younger children, for the mother, and for the men working, etc. So language is a barrier. So running courses for them, it could be a very, very important issue.
Okay. So now we will move on to the work outside Wai Yin. Did you work with other organizations apart from Wai Yin? You mentioned NHS before. Are there other organizations that you work with?
Yes. Because I'm retired now, so everybody is saying that retired people are very, very have so much time, but I tell you, that's not true. I also work in the church as well. Work in a way that I'm helping out in the church as well. Do a bit of finance thing, and I don't want to be a treasurer there. I said no. I don't want to take up so many roles, but I do help them in the financial issues, and I do a lot of the visitation as well, visiting families and elderly people, etc.
And what does this kind of job involve? Working with the elderly?
The job, well, if I visit them, I just say, hello, how are you? And then give them, it's not necessarily to help them. Obviously, for the elderly, they need a lot of help. But especially when they are not well. and sometimes they are a bit disabled in a way if they are not well. So just offer them to do some shopping for them, or take them out, or going for the supermarket for them, and that sort of thing. To be honest, sometimes the church people, Wai Yin's members, and the patients, quite a lot of people are the same people, actually, because they are the same group. Their requirements are the same. Yeah.
So, from your work in these positions, what information does it give you about the role of the Chinese community in Manchester?
The role of
the Chinese community in Manchester.
The role of the Chinese communities, we could better work together. We do need to work together, and so all of us need to know what our needs are, because at the moment quite a lot of the Chinese community, they are doing their own business. You cannot blame them for doing their own business. They don't have time to do that because they don't think there is a need for them there. But we need to educate them and to tell them, people around you do need help, or they even their family, their own families also need help. So that's why.
So now we'll talk about a bit about your personal experience working in the UK. So what is the best thing about your job?
The best thing?
Yes.
The best thing of my job is to help people, to communicate with people, to learn more about people, and to love people.
And on the other hand, what is the worst thing about your job?
The worst thing is, like the financial area is so boring sometimes. But even if it is not financial, like if I do interpreting in a hospital, I love doing it when I'm working. But when you're sitting there and waiting time for the hospital to see the doctors, is a nightmare for me. I think it's really bad. But on the other hand, while I'm waiting, I can talk to them. It can talk to them, and that's how we communicate. But sometimes the waiting time is too long, and then you can't just talk for hours. Sometimes the waiting time is 2 hours, 3 hours. So how can you just talk non-stop for 2 or 3 hours? So that's the worst thing.
Okay. Have there been any turning points in your career?
Turning point? No. All my life, working life, actually is finance. So all the time, all the jobs that I do is in the financial field. Yeah. But so that's why that if I do something in the community, that is really something different, really different from what I was doing at that time. But still, I didn't say I still love my job doing that's why that I do the financial, accounting field for so many years, and yet I enjoy it more now, to working with in the community.
Okay. And do you think there have been many significant events or people that have influenced you? Yes,
actually. I influence in a way, encouraging, put it this way. Our director, Sylvia. She is very, very good. She's really hardworking and demanding, and then she knows exactly what she's doing, and that's why Wai Yin, runs so good in a way. And then we are encouraged by that because and then she wants to go ahead all the time, and then we as a board member, we want to support her in a way, and she is supporting us on obviously both ways. And yes, so that's why that we really love each other. Yeah.
What is your ethics concerning work? Where does this attitude come from? For example, your parents or your grandparents or some friends or certain experiences?
Yeah, well, I think my father actually influenced me a lot. He's a really kind gentleman, and he's always helpful, but he's very strict. When I was young, and then we dare not ask anything from him. But yet, I know that he loves us so much. And then this kind of love that, as a Chinese man at that time, it's not easy to show it to his children. And yet I can feel that. And then because of his gentleness and kindness, and then touches my heart. So that's why that I was thinking all the time, I thought, I really need to be like my father, helping people who do need help, and also be gentle to others.
Right, that's very nice. Okay, so what do you think is the role of your Chinese heritage in the work that you do? How does it affect your work?
My Chinese character affect
Heritage.
My Chinese heritage affecting my work.
Yeah. How does that help you? How does that influence the way you work, your attitude, your ethics?
Oh, right, okay. Well, it does help in a way, especially when I work in the UK. You have different faces from other people, and yet if you show your willingness to do work, and then just be kind to others, and they will do the same to us. So when people were saying to me that about discrimination, possibly there are some areas that they have discrimination, and yet not all of them are discriminating us. No. It really depends how we treat others, and obviously the others as well, how they feel your way of friendship and love. So that will help, influence.
And how important is Chinese culture and your heritage to you? How do you incorporate this in your daily life in a British environment?
The Chinese culture, yeah, well, in my days, and then we learn a lot of what Confucius say, and then I can still remember all that. There are quite a few that I think that I'm still using it in a way. Do you want me to say in Chinese?
Yes.
And first of all, we need to be good to to be a good person ourselves. So it's 修身齊家治國平天下. So we see the starting point is myself, and then 修身齊家. That means and then when you're doing good, you're doing well, your family will do good, and then your country will do good, and the whole world will do good. So what the basic line is, start with myself. Don't point at others. Do it yourself first. That's what I always remind myself. Don't blame others. Seeing what whether whether you're doing it correctly or not correctly or wrongly.
Thank you for that. And in respect to living in Britain, what parts of your culture, traditions, and Chinese heritage do you feel are the most important to teach to your children?
Well, be kind to another, be gentle. This is like what Confucius says. But saying that, because I am a Christian, so my point now to teach my next generation is to love one another.
And about yourself, did your parents place great importance on not forgetting your culture or practicing your culture at home?
Not forgetting my culture.
Your culture.
Oh no, what do you mean by that?
Because how much did your parents, how much importance did your parents place on not forgetting your culture?
Oh yes, it's very important, because we always need to respect the elderly. We respect the older generation, especially your father, your grandfather, and we do that, and that is very important, because we in Chinese we always say 孝順父母. That means that you need to respect your parents.
Do you have family overseas at the moment?
No.
And do you feel that living in the UK affected or changed your perspective of the world?
Change the perspective of the world.
Perspective or your worldview.
Well, I live in UK, but I still remember my own country's our own culture, and what we were taught, and in a good way. Yeah. So for doing that, and then we just work it out to the people around us. So I'm not that great to influence the whole world. I'm not that kind of person, but I feel more comfortable if the people work together with me, and then feel the sort of relationship that we have, and that's good enough.
And how does your work fit in with your personal life? Your work, how does it fit with your
which
personal
work?
life? Your job, your duties?
It's no problem.
Okay.
It's okay.
So you can balance the two very well.
Oh yes, yes.
Do you have children? Do you have any
No.
children? And what are your aspirations for the next generation of British Chinese?
Well, I hope that they can still remember their Chinese culture, and also hope that they can tell what is right and what is wrong. Because especially in this generation, no matter whether they are Chinese or British or whatever nationalities, but it's quite easy to get astray in a way, because the technology is so good at the moment, so it's too much. I think they just addicted to all this sort of thing. I think that's wrong. So I just hope that somewhere, somehow, but it's difficult. But saying it is difficult, and yet we still need to tell them that no, don't be so addicted to all these sort of things, because that's no good. At the end of the day, it's them that's suffering, not anybody else.
So this is the last question that I have for you. What do you like to do for recreation? Recreation, your spare time.
I know. What would I like to do for my recreation? What would I like to do? A lot of things. That's why I need to think. I like to have some quiet times, and I like to just listening to music and have a bit of time for myself. That's the most important thing, because I'm a very busy person in a way. But I find that sometimes if I have a break and put away all other things, and then that's very enjoyable moment for myself. Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to discuss or mention?
No, I think that's it's a lot of been asked or been told. So no, thank you.
Well, thank you very much
for
participating in our project and sharing your memories.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your interview.